Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this session. Mike, I can see your hand is raised. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, good afternoon. How are you doing, sir, today?
I'm very much fine. Thank you so much.
I see your hand is raised.
No, I just wanted to confirm if people are there. That's why.
Okay, so we are just waiting for some other persons to join us. A whole lot of persons need to join this session, but we'll be starting once the timer is up. Once the timer is up, we'll be starting, and probably they will need to catch up with the session with us. You're welcome once again to today's session. I will be starting in just a minute's time. Let's just exercise patience. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Please, if you can hear me, let's just unmute our mic and say hello to the house. Good afternoon, everyone. Let's just say hello to the house and just mention where we are joining us from this afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Your name, please. You can just say your name.
My name is Olukule.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good
My name is
afternoon.
Olukule.
Welcome. Oh, great. Nice meeting you.
Yeah,
where are you joining us from?
UK.
Wow, that's great. Well
Yeah.
done. So what time is it now?
4 p.m.
Wow.
Same time.
Wow. Oh, great. All right. Good afternoon. Please, let's just unmute our mic as we kickstart the session. It will be nice for us to exchange pleasantries before we kickstart the session.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Right. Yeah, my name is Kolani, and I'm joining from Johannesburg, South Africa.
Wow. Great having you. And what is the time there?
5:03.
Wow.
Yeah, just an hour.
Nice meeting you. Yeah, great.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Michael. I'm joining from Lagos, Nigeria.
Oh, Lagos, Nigeria. So we are together.
Good
I'm
afternoon,
joining
sir.
from Lagos, Nigeria. Good afternoon, Victor.
Good afternoon. My name is Victor Basin. Victor.
Okay.
I'm joining from Lagos, Nigeria.
Oh, great having you, Victor. Who else haven't?
Good afternoon.
Okay, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, I can hear you. Good afternoon, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, my name is Emmanuel. I'm joining from Enugu, Nigeria.
Wow, great, great. Nice meeting you, Emmanuel. Who else haven't spoken? A whole lot of persons are joining us currently. Who else? Please, if you are just joining us, you can just unmute your mic and just say hello to the house and just hello. Okay, it seems that we won't wait for others. So some other person that haven't introduced themselves, maybe along the line, we'll get to know them, right? So welcome once again to Microsoft Eastern Power Platform Community Meetup session. I believe that, like I communicated via my post, this is a beginner class for Microsoft Power BI, but nothing, there's still room for those of us who are intermediate, right, to learn one or two things in this session, right? So I will try as much as I can to keep the whole section simple, so as for us to easily relate with a number of things. That is for those of us who are, who will be seeing this tool for the very first time, or those of us who have heard of this tool but haven't used the tool, right? So I will try as much as I can to keep things simple. And please, if you are currently not speaking, you can help mute your mic so that we'll have one class, please. Just a minute, I will need to mute someone. Sorry, just a minute, I need to mute someone so as for us to have one class. Yeah, thank you. All right. So this bootcamp focuses on analyzing and visualizing data with Microsoft Power BI, right? And for this session, for the next 4 sessions, right, we'll have some ground rules which will be binding on us. First, we need to respect each other's opinion for us to, achieve our set goal for this course, right? We need to respect each other, have one class, as well as have an open mind to learn. I know that some of us are advanced, as had indicated in the form that we filled out for attending this course. Some of us are advanced, but I would like us to bear with me as I will be taking a whole number of us that are beginners through the basic things that they need to know to getting started with Microsoft Power BI. So this class is still for you, for those of us who are a little bit familiar. So I trust me, you're going to learn one or two things that's going to help you or help improve your reporting skills with Power BI. So when you're not talking, you need to mute your mic. Then you need to ask questions where necessary. So maybe I tend to explain certain things and it's not clear to you, please call on my attention and let's get that, because for me, the whole idea of this meetup is for us to be able to, be familiar and work comfortably with these two core Power BI. And if at the end of this training, at the end of the whole 4 sessions, you are not able to carry out some activity using Power BI comfortably, then to me, I haven't achieved my goal, right? So, and we need to be punctual. Currently, we are 5 minutes or 6, 7 thereabouts late. So we need to be punctual in subsequent session, right? So, for this training, I'm your host, Samson Obasi. I'm a data and content analyst, a Microsoft certified Power BI data analyst, a project manager, as well as Microsoft certified trainer. Those are my handle. You can connect to me on LinkedIn, Twitter, and the like, right? So our agenda for today, right, will be looking at understanding data analysis, components of data analysis, tasks of data analyst, explanation of data Power BI interface, as well as demo on how to get dirty data and step guide to cleaning dirty data question, and as well as assignments for tomorrow's session, right? So recall I had indicated that this will run for 4 sessions, so we'll continue tomorrow. And after tomorrow's session, we would need to reconvene next week, Saturday, same time, and run up the session next week, Sunday, which should be 25th, if I'm not mistaken, of September. Yeah. So at the end of the session, at the end of this for the 4 sessions, right, we should be able to have something like this, right? Something like this currently displayed on my screen. So I don't know, you cannot see my screen. So we should be able to have something like this, like you should be able to build your own simple report, right? No much complication. Should be able to have something like this using whatever data set that you have, right? So I've shared with us 2 files. I've shared with us 2 files. One says data rule broken. Then the other one says dirty data sample. So we'll be working with that shortly. So recall I said by the end of this session, we should be able to have a simple report, you know, with this data. So with this data, right? So let's just get started. Let's continue with what we have for today. Quickly, I'll say that, you know, as we start your journey of telling story, you know, with data, also ties into building data culture within organization that you might find yourself as a data analyst, right? As a data analyst. Why storytelling is important, and it's also important that where such story is told should be considered, right? Ensuring that the story is told to the right people, right? So you would need also to make sure that people discover the story and can relate easily to such story by virtue of clarity. So when you tend to create reports, it shouldn't be something complicating that people would need to seek you or would need you to explain the report to them, what you are trying to communicate, you know, to them, right? Your report should be designed in such a way that once anyone tends to come across it, such person will definitely relate or easily understand what you are trying to pass across to them, or what your data is currently saying. So all those are what you need to take into consideration while, you know, creating your reports. Now, before data can be used to tell story, right? It must run through a process. It must run through a process that makes it usable in the story. That makes it usable in the story. Now, data analysis is the process of identifying, cleaning, and transforming, as well as modeling data to discover meaningful insights and value, right? So let me just further add that this data that you'll be using and is then crafted into a story through reports for analysis to support the critical decision making process within such organization. Now, I will say that while the process of data analysis focuses on the tasks of cleaning, modeling, analyzing, and visualizing data, the concept of data analysis, right, and its importance can not be overemphasized when it comes to business, right? Hello? Hello? Please, if you are not asking a question, kindly mute your mic. So to analyze data, there are core components of analytics which we need to have understanding of. Hello, is someone trying to ask question? Hello? Okay, I just need to brush us through a number of things before we go into the live demo on how to get and transform our data or clean our
one
data
asked
using
question.
Power Query. Hello, is someone trying to say something? Can you go ahead, please? Hello? Hello? Okay. So the components of data and analysis include the descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, prescriptive, as well as cognitive analytics, right? So and I'm going to explain this. I know some of us might be familiar with these terms, but please bear with us for, just pardon me, because some other persons might not be conversant with these things. So, and it's very important for them to get this before diving into whatever tool that we'll be using to prepare our data today, while tomorrow we'll look into data modeling. But for today's session, we'll be looking at how to get data. Now, the descriptive analytics, I will say that it helps answer the question about what has happened based on historical data. This is just for the purpose of those who are joining or who are new to this tool. Please take note of this, that the descriptive analytics, right, tend to answer questions about what has happened based on historical data. I would say that this technique summarizes large data sets to describe outcomes to stakeholders within an organization, or to describe outcome, with regards to what has happened over time within your business, right? An example of descriptive analytics, let me just say, is generating a report to provide an overview of an organization's sales and financial data over time. When you are trying to investigate what has happened, so you are doing that. That is what we refer to as descriptive analytics. I won't be diving much to explaining or providing much example, because we still have a whole lot to practicalize in this session. So let's look at the second component of data analysis, which is the diagnostic analytics. The diagnostic analytics, I would say that it helps answer questions about why events happen. Why events happen. Why the prescriptive help answer the question of what has happened. The diagnostic investigates why events happen, right? So the diagnostic investigates why events happen. So diagnostic analytic technique, I would say that it supplements the basic descriptive analytics, and they use the findings from the descriptive analytics to discover the cause of events. That is it for diagnostic analytics. So I'll just simply put it that way. You can further investigate or read more about that. Let's look at predictive analytics. This analytics answers questions about what will happen in future. This technique, I would say that it uses historical data to identify trends, right? And determine if they are likely to recall. And to further state, I would say that predictive analytics tool provide valuable insights into what might happen in the future. You're trying to predict. You've investigated the data. You've investigated to know what happened. That is the descriptive. You diagnose, right, to know why the event, why what happened really happened, right? Diagnostic. Now you want to predict the future. You want to predict the future. You want to predict what will happen tomorrow or in the nearest months or years, right? So that is what we call predictive analytics, right? So we equally have the prescriptive, and I would say that this helps answer questions about which action should be taken to achieve the set goal, right? Take, for instance, someone who is sick, all right? So the person goes to the doctor and asks for, after much interview, descriptive, the doctor trying to know what has happened, right? And why the person suddenly fell ill, right? The doctor will then diagnose to actually know the cause. And after that, the doctor will further predict based on his or her prescription, right? So prescriptive analytics. Just a minute, let me admit someone. Okay, yeah. Predictive analytics help answer questions about which action should be taken to achieve the target goal by using, by using insights from predictive analytics. Organization can make data-driven decisions. This, when you tend to relate this prescriptive analytics to organization, they can only make data-driven decisions when they use the predictive analytics. That is when most of them can gain more insight into their data to understand what has happened. All these things goes hand in hand. So you just need to understand this thing. I will encourage us to read more about it because I'm just trying to lay a foundation before we dive into what we have for today's session. Definitely, I'm just trying to quickly run through some things. So we equally have the last, cognitive analytics. This is the last on the list, cognitive analytics. Cognitive analytics, I would say that it attempts to draw or drive conclusion based on existing knowledge, right? And then add this findings back into the knowledge base, right, for future inferences. This descriptive or cognitive analytics equally help you learn what might happen if circumstances change, right? And determine how you might need to handle this situation. So one underlying thing about this cognitive analytics is that it helps you learn what might happen if circumstances change and how possible you can determine how to handle such situation when the time comes. So that is it for the components, various components of data analysis, right? So let's quickly look at the components of data or the roles in data analysis. Let's look at the roles in data analysis. To just further summarize what I just stated now, we looked at descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, as well as prescriptive and cognitive analytics, right? So let's go look at the roles in data analytics. These are the various roles in data analytics, and the understanding of this will definitely help some of us who wants to go into the tech field, right? Want to take career into the tech to, further understand what we are about to face and equally help us to, make the right decision and, further channel our minds and our resources to whatever tool or whatever resources that will help us advance our career in this area of interest. So, because I discovered that oftentimes people tends to like get interest or have interest in becoming a data analyst, and what they will be pursuing at that point are everything that has to do with data scientists. Some will even tell you that, oh, they want to learn this, they want to learn that to be a business analyst. But what the tools that or the courses or tools that they are currently going through at that moment are meant for business or database administrators, right? And these people at the long run will tend to find it challenging, assimilating a number of things because they have no foundation, they have no solid foundation with regards to such field which they dived in. So it's something that we need to read through. I just want to encourage you. I'm not going through all that, but for me, I'm a data analyst, and I will be sharing with us the little skills which I have, and yeah, that is it. So let's quickly look at data analysts, right? A data analyst, I would say that a data analyst enables business to maximize the value of data assets through visualization and reporting tools such as Microsoft Power BI. As a data analyst, or will I say a data analyst, are responsible for profiling, cleaning, transforming data, right? Their responsibility also include designing and building scalable and effective data models. So those are tasks of data analysts. They enable and implement the advanced analytic capability into reporting for analysis. So those are things that data analysts do, right? So, and to further add, let me say that a data analyst work with the pertinent stakeholder in the organization to identify appropriate and necessary data and reporting requirements. And then they are tasked with turning such raw data into relevant and meaningful insights. In summary, let me just say, or in conclusion, I would say that a data analyst is also responsible for the management of Power BI assets, including reports, dashboards, among other things. So you can possibly read about that. So the roles of data analysts, these are the tasks of data analysts. As a data analyst, these are the tasks, right? You prepare, you model your data, you analyze, you visualize, you manage. So as a data analyst, you'll be faced with these tasks. So just be conversant with that and try to read more about that in Microsoft Learn or whatever channel that you might find interesting, right? So talking about Power BI, which is the tool that we'll be looking at now, Power BI. Most of us are familiar. We'll say that Power BI is a data visualization and business intelligence tool that converts, right, data from different data sources to interactive dashboard and BI reports. And like or for those of us who are new to the tool, I would say that it can connect to hundreds of data sources. Power BI has the capability to connect to hundreds of data sources. Among the hundreds of data sources, I have a few here, which is currently displayed, right? So these are a number of data sources among hundreds of others that Power BI can connect to. We have Excel, we have Facebook, we have MySQL, we have SQL, as well as other data sources, right? So these are all the data sources that Power BI can connect to, right? So that is it. Now, record I said that we would need to have something like this. We need to create the similar reports, right? We need to, this is just a simple dashboard I created some time ago, yeah? We need to create something like this. Yours might be more interactive, you know, depending on the data sets that you have, right? But I want to show us, in as much as this is a beginner's class, but I don't want to put it so basic that when you haven't attended this session and you are faced with some other data sets, right, you won't be able to carry out analysis. You won't be able to scale through, right? So I'll be showing us how to clean a number of dirty data in this session, and which we would be diving into just a minute. Let me try get this dirty data. So I have with me here this dirty data. How do we analyze this? How do we turn this data? Or how do we clean this data so as to have this visual, right? Currently, you see that I have 30 work 1. Can you see my sheet? This workbook has 3 sheets. We have 30 work 1. I earlier shared this with us. 30 work 1. We equally have 30 work 2. 30 work 2. Let me go to that. So this is it. So how do we analyze this data? How do we analyze and visualize this data? How do we go about that? That's one thing that we'll be looking at this session, right? Say this is the dirty work 3. How do we clean this data? We have this. Someone just sent you this. You need to clean this and give me a report. How do you go about this? First and foremost, you should know that what is it called? This data is currently dirty. And as such, there are rules that your data must follow for you to achieve this, what I currently have on my screen, right? You would need to clean your data to look like this. Let me just show you something to look like this. So that data that we just saw now, the dirty data, this dirty data, we need to transform it to look this way, right? How do we achieve that? We can only achieve that using Power Query. I know a number of us are familiar with Power Query, but I bet you we still learn 1 or 2 things with Power Query in this session. So back to my slide. Yes, please. The data source was shared, so I shared that. You can check that. I shared the dirty data with us. Please ensure you have saved it to your system because you'll be connecting to it. I earlier shared that even in all my emails right from yesterday. Since yesterday, I've been sharing that with us. So yeah. So back to my slide. Let's look at the rules for dirty data. So for us to carry out visuals, for us to analyze and visualize our data must follow certain rules. Sometimes we call these rules the golden rules. Now, you know, for those of us who are Christians, you know, there's something that they do say, or in the Bible, right? They said that if the book of James chapter 2, verse 14 says something that if a man keeps the whole law and fail in one part, that he is guilty of all. Now, this data rule, if you keep all the rules, but you fail in one of them, you will still have inaccurate reports where you analyze and visualize your data. So it's important that you take the 7 rules that I'm going to be showing us here into consideration. And the understanding of this rule will help you clean your data easily. So whatever data you come across, whatever dirty data, whether the data that I currently share, the data set that I currently share, or any data at all that you come across of, the application of these 7 rules that I will be sharing with us in this session will help guide you to clean your data and have accurate results when you analyze and visualize your data with whatever tool, either Power BI or maybe Tableau or Excel, right? So first among the 7 is you your data must not have any empty column. By empty column, what do I mean? I know a number of us might be familiar with this, but if you go to the second file which I shared with us, right, which says okay, check my email, please. Check my email. Check my email. You said Victor, you said you didn't see you didn't see the file. Please, can you check my email?
Please, I actually have the files, and the file is in XLX format. So now I can't open it with my Power BI desktop. I can only open it with my Microsoft Excel. I don't know, is there a workaround?
Okay, you will need to first connect. We'll be heading to Power Query now, right? Where you will need to get those data. You said you can connect.
What I'm seeing on the screen is that you've opened the file already.
Okay, yes, please. If you have the file open, yes, if you have the file open, you would need to close it for you to be able to connect to that file. Hello?
I'm trying to understand you actually, because I opened my Power BI now as a desktop application. That's my Power BI desktop. But I'm still finding out to connect it to that broken data XLX format.
Yes, okay. See what you do. See what you do. You've saved the attached to your desktop, right?
Yes, I've saved it since yesterday.
And you know the location you saved it?
Yes.
Do you have the Excel file open? Do you have it open?
Should I can open it with Excel. Should I open it with Microsoft Excel?
No. If you have the file open. Oh, please, let's mute if we're not talking.
Bye, tarko cut jaye to phir bye tu pareshan badi cheti ho jande.
Hello.
Who is that?
Sorry, Mr. Michael. Hello, Ali.
Jo marzi banwao.
Hello, Ali.
Thoda hi bulwana.
Okay, just a minute. Let me mute him. Okay. Hello. So if you have the file open, right, you will need to close it first before you go to get data and click on Excel.
Okay. Okay. I've done that. No, let me, I just downloaded the software. So I can see the options I can see on the screen now is import data from Excel, import data from SQL Server, paste data into
Okay, I guess you are faster than us. Please just exercise patience. We'll get to that point. I can see you are faster than us. We haven't gotten to that point. Yeah. I'm trying to explain something now because this thing will help us to clean that data. The understanding of these data rules, right, will help us to easily clean that data, right? So I can see you are faster than us. Please just exercise patience. Thank you. All right, yeah. Thank you for that, though. Yeah. So the data rules, right? We said no empty column. I know a number of us are familiar with Excel, and for empty column, we should know what that means. So currently on this data, do you see this data? Can you see my screen? Data rule broken. Data rule broken. Now, if I come anywhere in this data and do Control A, right? I currently highlight all the data in this worksheet. Can you see that? I can currently highlight all the data in this worksheet. What I have open is data rule broken, correct. The sheet that says correct. In this data rule broken workbook, you have two sheets, wrong and correct. So I just click anywhere in this data and do Control A. Do you see everything is highlighted? Now, if I go to wrong, let me click here and do Control A. See what will happen. Do you see? Do you see that? Let me remove this. Currently, I have empty column. So if I do Control A, there is empty column. This is highly unacceptable. You shouldn't have empty column. Total like is a column from top to the bottom, right? But if I have data here now, let's say I insert one data here. Let me say I just say insert something here, right? Is this an empty column? No, this is no longer an empty column. Can you see that? This is no longer an empty column. Or let me say I have a header here, tag. Let me say tag, right? This null, and probably I have null here. I have data here, and here I have null, right? Going all the way down, right? Let me just say, and for some of this data, I'll say correct. Let me just say, so let's just assume, right? This is no longer an empty column. But if you have something like this, let me undo. This is an empty column. But if you have something like this and do Control A, come here, do Control A, right? See what happened. Everything is currently selected. However, if I come here, remove this, and do Control A here, see what happened. The data, not all the data is currently selected. So you must not have empty column within your data for reporting. So that is the first rule. Then the second rule says no empty row, no empty rows. Same thing, you must not have an empty row. Do you see this? Let me remove this row now. Let me insert a row here. Do you see this? This is an empty row. Let me remove this column. Let me just remove this column. Control minus. So this is an empty row now. If I come here and do Control A, you see?
Hello, sir. Sorry, your screen is just static.
Wow.
I don't know if anybody is having same thing. I'm sorry.
What can you see, please? What can you see?
What I can see is just the table, and your cursor is just there on the empty column.
Check your internet.
Okay, now
The screen is not static.
okay, all right, thank you.
Is it from me? Sorry, or let me.
You should check his internet.
It's changing now.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
Actually,
Thank
the
you for
screen
that.
is not static here.
Okay. So it's just a technical challenge. Yeah.
Maybe I'll refresh. No problem.
All right, sir. Thank you for that. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. So this is an empty row now. So your data for reporting shouldn't have this. If there is a particular row that has no single data in it, that is highly unacceptable. Right? So, but if I come here now, let's say I come here and just add, let me see, there's data here. Can you see where I am? This Buhari. So for the fact that this cell A13, right, or 13A, as the case may be, right, contains data, right? This is no longer an empty row. I don't know if you get that. This is no longer an empty row. But if there's, because if I come here now, right, I keep my cursor here and I do Control A, check, everything highlights. Now, let me go select this and come back here, do Control A. You see what happened? So there must not be empty row, no empty column, no empty row within your data, right? But you can have empty cells. That is not a challenge. Now, some of us might say, oh, we just have one here. In some data sets, you have, let's say, 20, maybe in your data set has 1 million rows, right? How many cells or how many rows will you be able to go through, in order to dictate those empty rows, empty columns? You can't. No matter how you try to do that manually, you can never be accurate. So all these things are things that you need to check. You need to ensure that you clean out in Power Query or with Power Query. So let's go to the third rule. All dates must be in a single column. All dates must be in a single column. For this, we have our dates in a single column. So our date is currently in a single column, and that row is not broken. Let's say, let me just be fast because we need to practicalize this now with Power Query. So every unique data type must have its own column. Every unique data type must have its column. Now let's see this data. Can you see this data? We have store here, right? We have Adamawa, we have Abaji, we have what again? We have APAC, then we have Abakaliki, right? Going across column. Now we have this figure here. We should know that these figures is our revenue, right? But these figures are currently scattered across columns and rows. That is highly unacceptable. Every unique data type, this is a unique, these are all unique data type. They should have their own single column, right? So we should have something like this. So where revenue goes through rows in one column, unit sold, same thing. Day category, line of business, store, and the like, dates. Every unique data type must have its own column. So that should be something you look out for and ensure that your data comply with, right? So no total or subtotal within your data. Your data for reporting must not have total or subtotal. Now, let me go back to this dirty data. Let's go back to dirty data 1. Okay, these don't have, but let's see dirty data 2. If you come to dirty data 2 in your dirty data sample, just a minute, let me admit some persons. In your dirty data sample, you see total. Do you see? We have total. Let me zoom for us to see that. Do you see that? We have total here. Abia total, we equally have Abuja total, we have Adamawa total, and the like. So that is highly unacceptable. You shouldn't have total or subtotal within your data for reporting. If we should load this data now into Power BI, right? Get it with Power Query and load it to Power BI straight. We will definitely have inaccurate data. So it's something that you need to take care of so that you won't be as against, let's say, 10 billion that your organization make in the months of May, you'll be reporting 20 billion, right? So it's something that you just need to, because once you add whatever calculation that you'll be doing, at the long run in Power BI, right? Insofar as you didn't take care of the subtotal or total that appears in your data while getting it in or while working with Power Query, those total or subtotal will definitely affect the accurate results that you ought to have, been getting at the long run. So it's important you take into consideration that you look out for total as well as subtotal and ensure that you do away with them while working with Power Query before loading to whatever tool, whether Power BI, Tableau, Excel, whatever tool that you'll be using for your analysis, right? So that is one rule. That is the 5th rule. Now, the 6th rule, that is the second to the last rule, said no obstruction around your data. Now, if we come here, right? We'll come here and say, let me just filter this. Let me filter this. And let's see the region or the store highest revenue. Let me filter this, add my filter. Just a quick one. I'm trying to rush so that we'll clean our dirty data. So let me sort this from largest to smallest, right? Now we see Bodinga. Bodinga has the highest revenue. This store, Bodinga, has the highest revenue. Do you see that? This store has the highest revenue. Now, if you come here to say, let's say, very good. Good one. Let me just say good one, Mr. John or Mr. James, right? Right? Now, let me expand this from here. You see what I just did? Within this data now, right? Because this store here, this store has this Bodinga store has the has the highest revenue, right? I'll just come in here to say good one, Mr. John. Maybe probably Mr. John is the supervisor or the director or the he's the one overseeing this store, right? Me coming into this what is it called? Numerical trigger to enter this comment is highly unacceptable, because when we load this into Power BI, right, try to carry out analysis, this will definitely affect our report performance. We will never have the accurate result. Never. We will never have the accurate result. If you must insert comments or include comments in your data, right, it's important that you have a column called, let me undo this. You have a column. Okay, no. So I haven't sent that to you. I'll be sharing that tomorrow, right? I didn't want to, send us much file, but I'm just using this, right? I got your message, please. I didn't send this file to you. I didn't send this file because I never wanted to send you much file so that we won't get confused. I just want us to concentrate on that. Yeah. So if we must insert comments, right? We should come here or insert a comment. Yeah, come here. Just come here, say comments, right? And include whatever comment you want to. Nice one, Mr. John, nice one, or see me later, whatever comment, but you shouldn't insert it into the figure, right? So you must not have any obstruction within your data. That is what this rule is currently saying. Let me undo that. So for this rule, you must not have. Then the last rule says only one row of heading is allowed. Only one row of heading is allowed, just as we have here, just one row of heading. Can you see that? Just one row of heading. Any data at all that you come across and you need to claim, you must have only one row of heading. If you have the second row to be a heading, right? Maybe you now put some other things here. You can never repeat, have accurate reports. So you should, except you try to manipulate that and you are just risking your job, definitely you won't have the accurate reports, right? So only one row of heading is allowed. Let me undo what I've just done here, right? Only one row of heading is allowed. Let's take, for instance, this data. Do you see this? Abia total, here we have Abuja, and here we have Kopiase before we now have our revenue in different columns. This data currently is 30. So we'll be cleaning this data shortly. So we'll see how we can clean this to dirty data, and you will work on the dirty data 3. Why we reconvene tomorrow, right? So that is it. I said no empty column, no empty row. All dates must be in single column. Every unique data must have its own column. No total or subtotal within your data. No obstruction around your data. Only one row of heading is allowed. Those are the data rule or the golden rules for data preparation. Now, we'll be cleaning this data with a tool called Power Query. I don't know, you might have your own tool, but we'll be working with this tool called Power Query, right? Power Query is available in Excel as well as Power BI. So it's a tool that we can use to clean our data to look this way. Now, what is Power Query? We'll say that, to simply put, that Power Query is a data transformation and data preparation engine. One, It is used to extract, transform, and load data into your reporting tool for analysis. You use it to extract, transform, and load data into your reporting tool. Our reporting tool in this case is Power BI. We can't connect to Power BI and start carrying any analysis on Power BI without first cleaning our data. Mind you, not all data are dirty, or not. Most of the data that you'll be faced with, right, might not be dirty, while some might be dirty. So it's just for you to see the data and know, okay, whether this data or not is dirty. If it is dirty, what do you need to do? You know that definitely you need to clean it using Power Query. So it allows you to set up query. That is, Power Query allows you to set up query once and then reuse it with a simple refresh. So that is the good aspect. Once you perform this action once, you don't need to carry out the action again, right? You just need to refresh. Let's take, for instance, we clean this our data, haven't cleaned it using Power Query, we load it to Power BI, right? And carry out some visualization, right? As you can see on my screen. And all of a sudden, probably you just need to change this figure. You know, this figure will be manually imputed into this workbook, right? Into this worksheet. You need to change this figure as against, let's say, service plan here. Person that was imputing this data made a mistake and just need to change that to 0, right? Nothing. What you need to do is just to come to your report and refresh everything, update. What you've done in the source data will definitely reflect in your report, because you don't need to perform any action again. You don't need to start cleaning this data again using Power Query, right? Because you made any changes to the data source. Insofar as you didn't make changes to the, what is it called? Column headers, right? Column headers, but that is for the advanced class, or yeah, which I will definitely take care of subsequently.
Constructing that this figure, this image.
Hello, are you talking to us? Hello, Victor, are you talking to us?
Sorry, please. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right, thank you. So that is Power Query. That is Power Query. Now that is Power Query. What do we need to do at this point? We are going to be connecting to our data, right? So how many minutes do we still have? Okay, we still have about, let me just say 20 minutes, right? So this 20 minutes, we are going to use it to demo or to get our data into Power BI and into Power Query and clean, then load to Power Query. And I will give us assignments. We'll recomplete tomorrow, look into the assignment and proceed with data modeling, which is the second phase. Before we say the task of data analyst to get data preparation, data modeling, data analysis, analyze your data, visualize your data, then manage the data set, right? Those are the core tasks. So everything goes hand in hand. You just need to know all that. So let's dive into the live demo. And this is my Power BI report. My Power BI. This is Power BI. Now, once you go Power BI, you have this, right? You have this. Usually there's one yellowish icon that will come up, that will pop up if you open Power BI for the very first time. Just click on the X sign to close that, and you have this, right? So I believe that we all have our Power BI open. So to quickly just explain something, this is our visualization pane for those of us who are new. Please, those of us who are familiar with Power BI, just pardon me for a while. Let me just say one or two things with regards to this, why we get our data. So this is our visualization pane. One good thing about Power BI, right, is that once you clean your data and carry out, maybe you want to do some calculations, that is the explicit measure. You want to create some DAX formula to calculate maybe year-on-year, month-on-month percentage variance, year-on-year percentage total, right? Like once you've carried out such calculation, you can visualize such data through dragging this visual, any of this visual here that you might be interested in using, dragging and dropping, then you drag your data and you drop, and that is it. We'll do all that. So here we have our data. Once we click our data and load to Power BI, our data will be seated here in the fields pane, right? We have our visualization pane, we have our filter pane, we have our Canva. This white space is where we will be building our visual, right? Where we'll be creating our dashboard. This is called Canva. This is called Canva. On the extreme left, we have 3 icons. The first one says reports. The second says what? Data, and the third says model. First, data. Reports. This is where we are. Reports, and this white space here is called Canva, right? So let's go to our data. Currently, we don't have any data because we haven't loaded any data to Power BI. Let's go to our model, right? Nothing here. Nothing here, right? So let's see. Here we have our home, we have file. We can go to file and get our data, right? We can export, we can import. All those ones will be for, later class. Maybe advanced, we can further drill down to see all that. Can perform a number of things, but let's just get started. Please, if at any point as we dive into cleaning our data, if at any point you don't understand what I'm saying, please call on my attention so that you get that clearly. Thank you. So let's click on get data. I'll click on get data. I need to go. Let me go back to my report. Okay, now we need to get our data. We need to get the dirty data, right? That I currently showed us. So we need to get that data. We can get data from Excel, Power BI. So these are all the data sets that we can get data. And if I click on more, recall I showed us that Power BI has the capability to connect to hundreds of data sources, right? So now, if I click on more, right, let's see what happens. It's currently loading, just a second. What's going on? Okay, this is it. So we have file. When I click on file, you see other data source that we can connect to. Click on database. These are categories, different categories. Under it, you have different data source. So we have our Power Platform, we have Azure, we have online service, right? If we go to online service, maybe you need to connect to Google Analytics to carry out your own analytics on Power BI desktop, right? Adobe Analytics. And one good thing is that you can connect to SharePoint, you can connect to many other sources. Maybe you have Microsoft Form seated on the web, Microsoft Form that you need to connect to, right? You can easily do that. Or let's say we have a form here. We are collaborating on a form and it's seated or saved on this Microsoft Teams that we are currently using to do this thing. Everybody, Mr. A is inputting data, Mr. B is inputting data, Mr. C and D and the likes, right? And we don't know when each of them will be done, but we currently need to start up our visualization. What we need to do, since we have it saved, we need on Teams, we'll just open the file on Teams here, right? And connect to copy the link, right? We'll open it and copy the file path. And when we go to web, we paste the link there and we connect our data, load it to Power Query, clean, and do this thing, carry out our visualization. When Mr. A is done, when Mr. B is done, Mr. C is done, what we need to do is just to come to our report, refresh, and the whole data updates. It's simple as ABC. So for the purpose of this class, we'll be connecting to Microsoft Excel, right? So I can come here, connect here or here, right? So I'll just click on Excel. You see that I have that checked, and I'll click connect, right? Click connect, and we'll go here. Let's go to desktop. So I have mine stored in desktop. Where do I have it stored? Let me just see. Okay, Bootcamp 22 session. So I'll click this. Is this? No, it's not it. Okay, this is it. So You just need to know where you have it saved on your desktop. Then you navigate that side. I'll connect to this and I will click open. I hope we saw what I did. I clicked on Excel.
I didn't see that.
Current, you said?
I didn't see that, sir. Can you please?
Okay, let me redo. We'll just click on Excel. I can click on Excel here, or I can go to get data and click on Excel. Do you see that? This is what I just did. I go to get data. See Excel, can you see it?
Okay.
Excel. Then
yeah, I can see it.
I navigate. As I click on get data, it opens my desktop for me. I need to navigate to get my data.
Okay.
So this is my data. I'll click on it. Do you see that? It's currently highlighted. Data sample. I'll click open. Once I click on open, it should launch my Power Query. This Power BI currently, but it will launch my navigator first for me to, because this data that I currently have, right? This data that I currently have has three workbook. I mean, 3 worksheets, right? So this is what I have here. But remember, you would need to close your data. Sometimes it might prompt you to close your data for you to load, right? Since I have this data open now, this worksheet open or workbook open, and I currently connected to the workbook using Power BI, right? Let me leave it open and I will show you something. So I will check this, right? I will check this dirty work one. Dirty work one. I'll check that dirty work one, and this is my data. Yeah. Sometimes you might be faced with a workbook that has 20 worksheets, and out of that 20 worksheets, you have business with just 3 or 4 worksheets. Out of that 20 worksheets in a particular workbook, you have business with only 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 worksheets. So you just need to preview, and maybe it's not well named that you can't easily dictate, or you've forgotten the name of the worksheet, but you know how the data look like. So you can just click to preview to check. So, but this is my data. I will need to click the tray. I'll click the tray. And what do we need to do at this point? Do I load it to Power BI, or do I click on transform data? What do I need to do at this point? What do I need to do at this point? Because I think I should load this, because we are going to carry out analysis on this. Is it? Well, what we need to do is to...
I think you transform.
Okay, transform. Thank you. So we need to transform this data. We need to transform this data, and I will click on transform data. Now, see what happens. Okay, it has currently launched my Power BI. Okay, it seems that the file that I open isn't the one that I'm currently working on. So let me see. It has currently launched my Power Query. So this is my Power Query. Sometimes it will launch if you are using let's say 2Screen, or you are using a different thing, it will launch it. Sometimes we just launch it and you won't see it. You just need to change. Probably you have 3 windows, 3 windows open. So you just need to change and navigate through the Power Query. So here we have our Power Query. I have my dirty data dirty work 1, dirty work 2, and dirty work 3, right? Let's start with dirty work 1. Now on this is Power Query. This Power Query. Under home, we have enter data, we have other source. So as time goes on, we'll be working with this. Let me don't bore us with this, because if I try to explain some of these things, you might not understand until you would need to apply those things. So when the need comes, I will be explaining all these things to us. So we have transform, but the third tab that I want us to take note of fourth tab is home, transform, add column, view. Most especially home, transform, add column. Under home, once you are done, let's say we are done now with our data, we need to we need to load our data to Power BI. We go to close and apply, click on the drop down and say close and apply. You can apply, you can close. I won't go into detail that, but let's get started in cleaning our data. Now, this data one, we see that while working with Power Query, right? It's important to note that any step that you take in cleaning this data will be recorded here. Will be recorded at the extreme right of your Power Query. Do you see where we have apply step? Apply step. That is applied step. That is where you have all your step recorded. Any step that we take in cleaning our data will be recorded here, right? So, in Excel, if you are working with Excel, you can easily do Ctrl-Z to undo, Ctrl-Z to undo. If you are working with Tableau, you can easily do Ctrl-Z to undo. But in Power Query, it's not so. You have your step, you want to go back, you cancel. Now, we open this thing. Power Query automatically record that we connected to our source data, right? And we saw navigation, right, before coming to this Power Query, where we need to select the 3 data sheets, the 3 worksheets that we'll be working with. That is our navigate. But these 2 steps, promote header and change type, we didn't take that. Power Query added that step for us. Power Query assumed that he knows what we want to do, and he added that step to us, right? So what do we need to do at this point? What do we need to do at this point? At this point, Power Query has assumed that this data is dirty and this guy wants to clean his data. Let me do this, let me do that. But unfortunately, Power Query didn't get right. We appreciate that. And as such, because Power Query didn't get it correctly, we'll be canceling the 2 steps. You always take out the last 2 steps. That is change type and promote header. Once you open your data, and Power Query automatically add those steps for you. Please always undo those 2 steps, because most time they are not correct, but in some cases they might be correct. But for benefit of them, undo those steps. So I'll take out the promote header and see what happened. Currently we have this. Now we have this. Remember our data row, only 1 row of heading. Here we have revenue. All unique data type must have its own column. Recall I quoted a verse in the Bible that says, if a man keeps the whole law and fails in one part, he is guilty of all. If you keep 6 rules out of 7 and fail one, and fail on the 7th rule, you are guilty of all the rules. Now, our year currently is in 1 column. Our year is currently in 1 column, right? Our region is currently going across column, and this is highly unacceptable because we say that every unique data type must have its own column. In a situation whereby we have North Central in column 2, we go to column 3 or column 6, we have Northeast, right? And the like, and so on and so forth. This is highly unacceptable. We see our column 1 from column 2 to column 9 has what? Numbers. Let's say our revenue. This is highly unacceptable. What we need to do at this point, we need to turn this table. We need everything, right? Currently, we need everything here to go into 1 column. What do we need to do? What do we need to do at this point? We need everything at this point to go into 1 column. What do we need to do? We need to turn this table. We need to turn it. So there's a function called, or something called transpose. And you can find that, you will see that when you go to your transform tab. You see transform tab, you go to transform tab, you see transpose. You see transpose, we want to transpose this table, we want to turn this table. So as for us to be, thank you very much, that is it, transpose. So as for us to be able to, achieve or start carrying out other cleaning steps, the first step that we need to do at this point is to transpose this stuff. Without transpose, we can't do any other thing. We can't carry out any other action. So I will click on transpose. I'll click on transpose. I have just 20 minutes. I said 10 more minutes. Let me assume 10 more minutes. There are 5 minutes for questions. So I just click on transpose, right? You just click on transpose. Just click on transpose. And that step is added here for us. We have that step added here for us, right? We have the step added here for us. Now, what do we need to do at this point? Remember, this is not central. Not central has 4 lines of business: copier sales, parts, printer sales, service plan. But currently, we have all these fields as norms. What do we need to do? We need this North Central to fill down up to here, because North Central has copier sales, right? Parts, printer sales, service plan. Northeast, same thing. Copier sales, parts, printer sales, service plan. And these are all the figures against those line of business and against those region. But for our region, we just have row 2, row 6, row 10, row 14, row 18, row 22, right? Containing just the region. But every other row don't have it. What do we need to do? What do we need to do? Now you come here, you click on this, have that column highlighted. There's something called fill down. We need to fill this value down. There's something called fill down. Now you can right click. I will right click. Most of the things that you would need to get when you go to this tab are equally gotten through right click. If you know what, in short, right click is usually easy, but I mostly don't, why teacher, I don't go through that route, because it's easy to relate with and it can be confusing sometimes. Maybe let's say you forget about right click and you need to get those features some other place. Because you are not familiar with where those features are in different tabs, you'll be stranded for a while. So I like making use of the tabs. So we need to fill down. And for us to fill down, we go to transform. You see something called fill. You see this? I'm moving my mouse there. You see fill, right? Okay, how did I make the region? I transpose. I only did transpose. I remove every other step. Do you see? You might have source, navigate, promote headers, and change type. Please remove promote header and change type, leaving only source and navigate, right? This is it. Let me just undo that. This is it. This is what you should have. Come to your apply step, you should have only these 2 steps. If you have any other step, click on the X sign to remove. So this is what you have, and I just come here to my transform, go to transform, and you click on transpose, right? Click on transpose. Immediately, I didn't do any other thing. I just click on transpose, and I have this. What do I need to do? Okay, please, we'll look into that shortly. I'll look into that. You see my column doesn't show valid error. Okay, please, we'll look into that. Let's just exercise patience. We'll look into that shortly, please. If you would need to share your screen, you will definitely do that. But just bear with me. Let me just summarize this, because our time is fast spent. We'll look into that shortly. I'll clean this dirty data 1, right? You go home and clean dirty data 2, Tomorrow we will review it and clean dirty data 3. Yes, please. We are working on dirty data 1 currently. Your assignment will be to clean dirty data 2. Why tomorrow we'll look into it and clean dirty data 2. For those of us who are finding it difficult to scale through with that, we'll work on that, and as well work on dirty data 3 and dive into data modeling, how to establish relationship between data or tables in our database, right? So I'll click on fill down. Now I will click on fill down. Click on fill. I went to transpose, click on fill down. Remember, I have my column highlighted. Now I just click on fill down, and this is what I currently have. Can you see that? Now what do I need to do? What do I need to do? What do I need to do? One thing I need to do here now is to promote header. See, I have column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5, column 6, column 7, column 8, 9, and the like, right? That is not, you still have, if you scroll, you see we have other columns, right? But I don't need this. I don't need this. What do I need to do? What we need to do at this point? We need to promote headers. We need to take this our first column here, right? These are no, then this our year. You see our year 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003 going across columns. Those are highly non-acceptable. And our revenue going across column. How do we make this year that is going across columns, right, to be in a single row? How do we make this to be in a single column? And how do we make all this our revenue going across different columns and row to be in a single column? First thing first, we need to, okay, thank you, say got in that. First thing first, we need to promote header. And for us to promote header, you can go to home, right? You go to home, you see use first row as header, or you can click on this icon here. Do you see this icon? Do you see this icon? Click on this icon here and say use first row as header, or you can right click and say where is it, use first row as headers. Let me see. Transform. Okay, under transform, sorry, say right click. Under transform, you can see use first row as header. So you have 3 ways of doing it. I mean, 3 ways to get the use first row as header. In order for us to promote our header, we need this first row. This first row. Do you see this first row that I currently highlighted? This first row. We need to be at the top. So we say use first row as header. I go to home, transform. You see use first row as header. I'll click on that. See what happens. My year will go up. You see, I have 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, and the like, and so on and so forth. Now, these first 2 rows are okay. I don't know if you notice something. See, every unique data type must have its own column. These two data has unique. This data here or this column has unique data type, and it's currently in one column. You can't find northeast, northwest anywhere in this data again. You can't find copier say anywhere in this data again except for this column. So as such, I will rename this to, our region, right? Let's rename this to our region. Enter. Just double click and do that. And this our line of business, right? I can just abbreviate that to LOB, which means line of business. You can double click, or you can right click and say rename. Do you see that? You can right click and say rename, or you double click this and say LOB. I'll just abbreviate that. I'm trying to be fast. So LOB, that is line of business. Line of business. Now I want this. What we currently want is for this our year going across column to go into a single column, and all this our revenue to go into a single column. What do we do at this point? What do we do at this point? What do we do at this point? Now, before we do anything, notice something. It's important that you go through your data to remove any empty column. Now, we are going to be removing this empty column column 19, column 20, column 21 that contain null value or true. We will highlight it and remove the column. How do we remove all these columns, these three columns? Because there's no number, date, nor category, let's say North Central, North East, or copier sales recorded here. All what we have is null, and as such is invalid, inconsequential. We are not going to tamper with any of this column that has null. But because this column specifically has or is 100% empty, can you see that? 100% empty. Meanwhile, for you to have this, all this valid, error, and the like, you would need to go to, let me just show us where we need to go to for us to have that. If you come to view, right? If I come to view, see what happened. This valid that I have here, error and empty. Here I have 92% valid, right? 8 empty. Now, for me to have that, see what I did. If I uncheck these two things now, see what happens. Most of you will have something like this, right? You see, most of you will have something like this. But for you to see what is happening with your data, for you to see how your data look, for you to have a quick statistical view about your data, just go to view, check show white space, check that, and say column quality. You see, go to view, check show white space and column quality, and that is it. So for us to remove this, we'll highlight this, go down our shift, highlight these three empty column, and I will right click. I can right click to remove, or I will go to home. You go to home, you see remove rows, right? We don't want to remove row. Keep rows. What do we need to do? We need to remove column. So what we need to do at this point is to right click. Right click, we have this highlighted, we right click and we say remove column. This column that we need to remove, we say remove column. You see that? Remove column. I'll click on that, and we have removed those three columns that are totally null. But mind you, we have null within our data. It's fine. For some period, there might not be any sales. It's fine. So it's fine, right? What we need to do at this point, we need our dates, our year to go into one column, and there's something called on pivot column. So currently we need to highlight these two. These are our two columns. Our region and line of business, they are currently correct. So we don't need to tamper with them again. What we need to do at this point is we need to bring all this, our revenue here, into one column, and bring our year here into one column. What we need to do on pivot other column, you go to transform. When you go to transform, do you see I'm currently in transform? You see on pivot column, please don't click on it. Click on the down arrow button or the small icon. Can you see this small icon? Click on it, and you will see on pivot other column, on pivot column, on pivot other columns, and on pivot only selected column. Please, at this point, what do we need to do? I just made mention of what we need to do a few minutes ago, but I just need to confirm that we are following it. What do we need to do at this point? Are we going to on pivot column? We selected two columns that are currently okay, and our focus is on the columns that are not selected. What do we need to do at this point?
It's supposed to be on pivot selected column, I think.
On pivot selected column. Okay, thank you for that, but I guess no. Okay, someone said on pivot other column. Yeah, I guess, yeah, we are meant to on pivot other column. Recall, I just said that our two columns selected are currently okay. We don't need to tamper with them. Our major concern here is with regards to other columns that are not selected. So what we need to do on pivot order column. So I will go click here, click on the drop down and click on pivot order column. Once I click on that, see what happened. You see, let me go back. Just look at my apply step. Look at my apply step. All the steps that I've been taking so far are being recorded here. Can you see? If I need to undo what I have just done now, I'll close this. Let me say after 2 months, I don't know what magic I did in cleaning this data. I can reach this oh, sorry for that. I believe the recording will help. Sorry for that. This will be rounding up now for those of us who are still here. Please just exercise patience. In less than 5 minutes, we'll be done. Please just give me extra 4 minutes. Yeah, thank you. So if I go back to remove column, this is my last step. Do you see? I just selected remove column, right? So this is the step that we just added on pivot order column, and this is what we got, right? And currently we have this. For us to rename this to our year, we would need to double click here and change this to year, right? And click enter. We need to change this value to revenue. I don't want to tag this value. I need to be revenue. Double click and change this to revenue, right? And click enter. Or click enter, right? Or click enter. So currently we have our revenue, but our revenue is currently showing as whole number. We need this our revenue to be in currency formats, currency type, data type, and not whole number data type. What we need to do at this point, it's important. What we need to do is very much important. You go to transform, you see most of the things that we are doing is between transform and home. I don't know if you get anything, but most of the features that we've been using so far is in transform, right? So we'll go to data type. Can you see data type? You can right click to get data type. See data type, see change type, change type. Currently we have whole number selected. Please unmute your mic somewhere. Mute your mic somewhere, please. Mute your mic somewhere. Can you hear me? Thank you. Thank you. So currently we have whole number selected, right? Checked. Because this data is currently showing as whole number, but we want our revenue to show in fixed decimal, like to be in currency format and currency data type and not whole number. You can right click, go to change type and change it to fixed decimal. Click on this, or you come here. Under transform, you will see data type. Data type. When you right click, what you see is change type. Mind you, change type. But if you go to transform, what you will see is not change type, it's data type. You see data type currently is whole number, right? Currently, this data that we are we've selected is whole number. What you need to do, click on the drop down and you say fixed decimal. If it is dates now, we'll need to change that to date data type and the like, right? So we change this to fixed decimal. And this is what we got, right? So we've successfully cleaned dirty data 1. Please, at this point, I would like to ask if there's any question. And for assignments today, please let's endeavor before tomorrow's session to clean dirty data 2. And if you can, clean dirty data 3. But I will tell you that you still have 1 or 2 errors. For those of us who are not much familiar with Parkway, you still have 1 or 2 errors because currently we didn't have any total or subtotal in this data that we cleaned, right? But in your dirty data 2, you will be faced with, do you have total? I guess you have total to deal with. And in dirty data 3, let me see, you'll be faced with total to deal with as well. So how do you remove all that? Please try and see if you can clean dirty work 2. This dirty work 2. Now, in this session, if you have brought in your dirty work 1, dirty work 2, and dirty work 3, and you've successfully cleaned only dirty work 1, right? To this point, you should have this step recorded here. Same thing with yours. It should be same thing with yours, right? If you've successfully done this, don't go and click close. If you go to home, we need to load this data to our Power BI. Don't go and click close and apply. Because you haven't cleaned, you have dirty data that you haven't cleaned. Please, you would need to disable those tables. Currently, only dirty work 1 is clean. We are fine with that. If we load it, we won't have any error in our Power BI. But dirty work 2, see what I will do? I'm going to click on it and I will right click. If I right click, do you see enable load? Do you see include in report refresh? Please, this enable load, if it's checked, uncheck it, definitely it will be checked. Uncheck it, just click on it and you will notice something. Your dirty work 2 is currently interlineated. Can we see that? Our dirty work 2 is currently interlineated. So do same thing with dirty work 3 because you haven't cleaned them. Don't go and load those dirty data. If not, you have challenge. Let's say you are working with huge data, maybe the Excel book like what you connected to, or the table that you brought in, they are massive, right? Let's say 30 tables or 20 tables, and you need to clean. You are just cleaning, but you get to catch up with something and you need to shut down your system. What do? You need to load the ones that you've cleaned into Power BI. But before you do that, disable order table. Disable order table. Disable order table. So if I right click on this dirty work 2 now, you notice that enable load data is currently not checked. Can you see that? So do that before you then go to file and click close and apply. Tomorrow I will show us a whole lot of features, on Power Query. Power Query, it's very versatile. So like there's a whole lot that you need to know about Power Query because I don't know the kind of data that you'll be faced with. So you just need to know what you need to have knowledge of things that you need to know in order to scale through when you are faced with such. Now we've loaded our data to our Power BI. Can you see I currently have only dirty work 1 here. And if I come here, okay, so I should go over that again. So if I come to my data and okay, now let me go over that again. For me to return back to Power Query, because I'm currently in Power BI, what do I need to do? How do I do that? I can't go start getting data. What you need to do, under home in your Power BI, this is the data that I just loaded, right? I disable dirty work 2, dirty work 3. I disabled those 2 and loaded just dirty work 1, which I have cleaned, right? And now because I've cleaned dirty work 1, I should rename this dirty work 1. I can rename it here by double clicking, right? But I want to do that in Power Query. Let me just show someone something. So I should go through it again. So for me to go back to my Power Query, you need to, under home, you see transform data. Click on the drop down for transform data. You see transform data. I'll click on that and I'm back to my Power Query. Please, can you see that? I'm back to my Power Query. Meanwhile, guys, we are done. I'm done with the session and I've given us the assignment, please. Right, we should try and go through it. So this is what I did. Let me enable this data. I'll just click on it. I'll click on it again. But I believe you got my explanation, please. So I said that we are done cleaning this dirty work 1, right? We need to load this data to our Power BI, but we haven't cleaned Dirty Work 2 and as well as Dirty Work 3. If we load it to our Power BI, if we just go to our file and click the drop down, click on close and apply, we will definitely have error in our data. I don't want to pass through that stress now. If not, I would have done it and you see the error that we'll be faced with, right? But it might take a longer time for us to return. So I don't want us to encounter that. But maybe subsequently I will show us that, or you can try that out. Benefit of that. So what do we need to do at this point? We need to disable this data. Now, our Dirty Work 2 and Dirty Work 3, I will click on it. Do you see? I just clicked on it and I will right click. Do you see? I'll right click. Can you see my cursor? I right click. You see enable is currently checked. Once I click on this check sign for enable, this dialog box closes. And this my letter here, this Dirty Work 2 will be interlineated. Let me do that now. I will uncheck this. Do you see? You notice something happen among these three data? You see this one is interlineated, showing that is currently disabled. So I will do same here. Click on this my Dirty Work 3, right click. Why is this not responding? Okay, I just right clicked and I will say if I click on this check, automatically it will uncheck it. So I just click and you see that it's currently interlineated, right? I don't know if you get that now. And if I click it again and you see that it's not checked, so I will leave it unchecked. Currently, I will need to rename this my go back to my Dirty Work 1. Dirty Work 1, come here under apply step. See properties. Can you see properties? So I will change that to Clean Work 1. Clean Work 1 is no longer dirty because I've cleaned it. Cleaned Work 1. Let me see. Right? So enter. Click on enter and go to my file. Click on this drop down. Say close and apply. Can you see? Go to file, click on the drop down for close and apply, and click close and apply. We are closing Power BI, closing Power Query, applying to Power BI. So see what we get. Can you see my screen? See what we get. And this is what we got. Clean Work 1. So we've come to the end of this session, and if you come here, you see, if you come to our data model now, currently we have one Clean Work 1. Can you see the data that I've worked with? If you come here on our, what is it called? Data, see the data that we've cleaned. We've successfully cleaned this data, this Dirty Work 1. Can you see this? We've successfully cleaned this to look like this. Tomorrow, for your assignment, I need you to clean this Dirty Work 2. And if you can, clean Dirty Work 3 to look this way. Thank you very much. Any question? I know we've spent more time, but I believe it's worthwhile. Thank you. Apologies for the delay, but yeah, just need to extend that. Thank you. Any comment, any question? Why we reconvene tomorrow for a continuation of the session on Power Query, as well as diving into data modeling. We are looking at data preparation, and we'll be diving into data modeling tomorrow, and in subsequent session next week, Saturday and Sunday, we'll be looking at analyzing data analysis and data visualization. Okay, thank you. Someone has his hand raised. Please unmute your mic. Yeah, you can speak.
Okay, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Thank you for the class. It's actually worthwhile having the class at this moment. Please, but you made mention of dropping the video recorded so we can go through it. I don't know if that will be possible.
Yes, you will automatically have access once the recording is done, right? After this session, you will have access to it.
It's okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you will see it on, you will see it. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I will try as much as I can. Maybe tomorrow morning, I will just I will just need to download and save online, then share the link with us, right?
Okay, sir.
As well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Okay. All right.
Hello,
Please
sir.
go ahead.
Hello, thank you so much, Mr. Sampson, for the lecture. Pretty,
Thank you, sir.
quite awesome. Please, a
Thank
quick
you,
one.
sir.
I'd like to ask, is it possible, I'd like to, is it possible for us to, can we have the class by 3 o'clock? I don't know. Can it be possible maybe an hour earlier?
Oh, I've been communicating 4 o'clock, and based on that, I've scheduled a number of things. I'll be in a session from 2 to I'll be in session tomorrow, but I know I'll be done before 4 o'clock because I only have some other meetup that I'm running for some persons. Yeah, personal
All right, no problem,
stuff that's scheduled.
All right, no problem. And then secondly, please, can the link for somebody to register, can it still be sent, please? Because I remember there was a friend who got stuck with the Power BI, and I was just trying to send in my own mail. I'd forgotten then. I know I bumped into it either on LinkedIn or so, but I can't recall which I was trying to connect him. And he was like, please send me the link. This can it still be possible, at least from tomorrow he can join.
Okay, just a quick one. Maybe let me see, just a minute. Just a minute, please. Let me see. I think I should have the link. Just a minute.
So that I can register. Thank you so much.
You can see the chat, right?
Yes.
Okay, let me see just a quick one. Okay. So I just dropped, let me see. Okay. So I just dropped that on the chat. Where is it now? Okay.
I'm awaiting that anyway.
All right. Can you see it now?
I think you are typing something, maybe to, okay, yes, I've seen it. Thank you so much.
All
I've seen that. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, sir.
All right.
I
Thank
appreciate
you. Yeah, welcome. Yeah, we've come to the end of the session. Any question, any comments? Thank you for making it to today's session. I strongly believe that before the final class, you would, for those of us who are new to this tool called Power BI, should be able to work comfortably with it to start with, right? So we've come to the end of the session. I'll be here for the next 5 minutes. Any comments, any question, area of clarification, please, you can let me know. I'll be here in the next 5 minutes to entertain your question, if any. Thank you, sir. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Please, let's just try as much as we can to do the assignments. Clean, dirty work 2. Get your data, load it, clean, dirty work 2, and try doing work 3. If you have any challenge, we'll sort it out tomorrow, among other things that we'll be focusing on in tomorrow's session. Thank you very much. I'll be here for the next 3 minutes. For those of us who might want the recording, please, after the call, you see the recording drop. But if you don't see that, just expect an email from me, probably tomorrow morning. I'll be on transit in a few minutes, so I won't be able to send that this evening. Thank you for joining. Those of us that joined from Yes, those of us that joined from Enugu, wherever you joined from, thank you for making it to today's session. See you tomorrow. Okay, thank you. So I'll be sending the session recording tomorrow. Olumide, I'll be sending it tomorrow if you don't see it today. If you don't see it on this call, I'll be sending it tomorrow to us, right? Because I will need to catch up a number of things. I'll need to be on transit this evening. Thank you so much. Yeah. After 2 more minutes, 2 more minutes. I have 2 more minutes left. More minutes to go. You can log off. I'll be ending the session now. Thank you. See you tomorrow if there's no any question. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. See you tomorrow, same time. Thank you.